Yin's eyes sparkled as she gazed at the array of desserts in front of her. After indulging in some heavy food earlier, her palate craved something sweet to complete the meal. Yin was a lover of all things sweet, and every time her parents invited her to attend company parties like this, she was always eager to tag along. She couldn't decide what to pick: chocolate cake, strawberry tart, mango treats, fruits drenched in condensed milk, pudding, and a variety of other sweets were calling out to her. Her empty plate slowly filled up. She grimaced as she realized there was no more room on her plate for another bite. How am I supposed to finish all of this? She murmured to herself, finally aware she had taken too much. Returning some would, of course, be impolite. Your teeth and stomach might hurt if you eat all of that. The low, manly voice snapped her out of her thoughts. She turned, a shy smile spreading across her face when she saw the handsome man, 3 years older than her. He was the main reason she willingly accompanied her parents to every company party. "Oh, Jungkook," she greeted, inwardly cursing herself for getting caught being greedy. "To save my teeth and stomach from trouble, would you help me finish this?" Yin asked, her voice hopeful. Jungkook scoffed lightly. He had encountered the daughter of his parents' friend often. Yin was always straightforward, a trait Jungkook found oddly endearing. While most women at the party carefully monitored their food intake, Yin simply didn't care. Strangely enough, she remained slim despite her love for sweets. Without saying a word, Jungkook picked up 2 pieces of dessert from her plate, unable to ignore her struggle. "How's your college going?" he asked nonchalantly. Yin beamed. Despite Jungkook's aloof and reserved nature, he never failed to ask about her studies whenever they met. Currently in her 4th year, Yin was nearing graduation. Meanwhile, Jungkook, 3 years her senior, was already working in his family's company, being groomed to take over as CEO. He also owned a large nightclub and casino. "It's going great. I just submitted my thesis proposal, and it got approved on the first try. Isn't that amazing?" she said proudly. "My friends have been struggling to get theirs approved, but mine went through so easily. I'm so lucky." Yin always shared her excitement with him. Having been approached by many women, Jungkook wasn't oblivious to the fact that Yin had feelings for him. But for now, he kept his behavior neutral. Jungkook flicked her forehead lightly, causing her to pout. She wanted to protest, but couldn't bring herself to. "Don't get cocky. Just focus on doing your thesis well," he said, his expression as emotionless as ever. Yin grinned sheepishly before popping a piece of fruit pudding into her mouth. "Yes, I'll work hard. I can't wait to graduate. I'm getting tired of campus life." "Tired? Why?" Jungkook raised an eyebrow and handed her a tissue. A smear of cream lingered at the corner of her mouth, quite noticeable. Instead of wiping it herself, Yin leaned forward, playfully asking him to clean it for her. "My hands are dirty," she reasoned, though they clearly weren't. Jungkook knew this was just another one of her antics. He sighed, shaking his head, but still wiped the cream from her lips. Yin's cheeks flushed pink. See? Despite his cold demeanor and lack of words, Jungkook was genuinely kind to her. "I'm tired of campus life because you're not there," Yin said, winking playfully. Jungkook scoffed again, shaking his head but choosing not to respond. This girl was far too bold in her attempts to get close to him. The conversation at the table was dominated by Yin, who enthusiastically shared various stories. Jungkook, as usual, responded minimally, preferring to remain quiet. But the lively atmosphere came to a halt when a woman suddenly approached their table. More specifically, she approached Jungkook. "Hi, Jungkook. I didn't expect to see you here," the woman said enthusiastically, her tone filled with excitement. Yin glanced at the woman, her gaze sharp and judgmental. She discreetly scanned her from head to toe. She had to admit, the woman was beautiful and appeared more mature. Her outfit was more revealing compared to Yin's modest attire. While Yin wore minimal makeup, this woman had a full face of cosmetics, complete with striking red lips. Yin sneered inwardly, disliking how the woman's smile seemed overly sweet and forced as she tried to capture Jungkook's attention. "I'm still prettier," Yin thought confidently. Jungkook gave a faint smile before turning his gaze back to Yin. "This is Yuna, my friend." Seemingly noticing Yin's presence for the first time, Yuna turned to her and smiled warmly. "You must be Jungkook's younger sister, right? Nice to meet you. I'm Jungkook's friend. We've collaborated a few times at the company. You're so pretty." Yuna liked Jungkook. She believed the first step to winning his heart was to get close to his younger sister. What she didn't know was that Jungkook was an only child. Yin stared at Yuna in disbelief before scoffing in annoyance. She glanced at Jungkook, who seemed to be holding back a laugh. Did she really look so childish that this woman thought she was Jungkook's younger sister? Of course, Yin couldn't accept that. "Sorry, I'm not Jungkook's sister. I'm..." His cousin? Yuna interrupted before Yin could finish her sentence. Yin's expression soured, her mood instantly plummeting. Jungkook shook his head. Before Yin could start ranting, he stepped in. She's Yin, the daughter of my parents' close friends, Jungkook explained calmly. Yuna's previously cheerful expression turned neutral as if she had just discovered a rival. Oh, I thought she was your cousin. She still looks like a little girl, Yuna teased. I'm already 21, Yin snapped, unwilling to let it slide. Yuna shrugged dismissively before turning her attention back to Jungkook, her eyes sparkling. Yin gritted her teeth, struggling to hold back her frustration. I'm Jungkook's fiancé, she declared suddenly, shocking both Yuna and Jungkook. Jungkook massaged his temples, not expecting such a reckless statement from Yin, though inwardly, he chuckled in amusement. Yuna's eyes widened in disbelief. She looked at Yin with contempt. I don't believe that. There's no way Jungkook would choose someone as childish as you. Yin's lips quivered in a pout, clearly upset. Jungkook knew that if he didn't step in, things would escalate. Enough, Yuna. Didn't you say earlier that your dad was waiting for you? He's probably looking for you now, Jungkook said coolly, smoothly redirecting the conversation and subtly urging Yuna to leave. Yuna scoffed, understanding Jungkook's true intentions, then forced a smile in his direction. You're right. I'll be going now. See you later, Jungkook. Before leaving, Yuna cast a scornful glance at Yin, who glared back, looking as if she were ready to throw her shoe at her. Yin, that's enough. Finish your food, Jungkook ordered coldly, seeing that Yin was on the verge of exploding. Yin grumbled, but she still did as Jungkook instructed. She needed the sweet desserts to ease her annoyance at that thick-skinned woman. A year had passed quickly, and now Yin had graduated with honors. She was one of the graduates who drew a lot of attention. Her graceful beauty made people, especially men, turn their heads for a second glance. 2 days ago, Yin had contacted Jungkook, asking him to attend her graduation ceremony. At first, Jungkook refused, but Yin jokingly threatened to get angry and tell their parents if he didn't come. To her surprise, the threat worked. A sweet smile spread across her face when she saw the handsome man actually show up at her graduation, holding a bouquet of flowers and a box of her favorite cookies. Congratulations on your graduation, Jungkook said in his usual flat tone. Yin smiled, still amazed that her bluff had paid off. I thought you wouldn't come, she said, taking the bouquet and cookies from his hands. Thank you, she added, clearly overjoyed. Jungkook simply nodded and left shortly after, as he had an important meeting to attend, but that brief appearance was enough for Yin. On the other hand, Yin was annoyed because Jungkook's presence attracted too much attention from other women. Dressed in a tailored suit, Jungkook looked incredibly dashing, and Yin's ears burned as she overheard several women openly praising him. Well, it couldn't be helped. Jungkook was always the center of attention. His charm could make countless women fall for him, including Yin herself. A week after her graduation, Yin began working in her parents' company in the marketing department. Unexpectedly, Yin learned quickly, even though her father had never previously asked her to help with the company. Yin was naturally talented, and her father was proud of her. As the owner's daughter, Yin remained humble. She was friendly and easily mingled with other employees. This trait made her well liked by many in the company. Currently, Yin and her parents were having dinner together. They talked about many things throughout the meal. Yin's family was warm and loving. Despite being an only child, Yin never felt lonely. Yin, there's something I want to tell you, said Mr. Park as they finished their dinner. What is it, Dad? Is it about my work at the company? Yin asked, her mouth still full as she ate the chocolate pudding the maid had made earlier. Finish your food first, sweetheart, then you can talk, her mother said, shaking her head and smiling at her daughter. Yin grinned and quickly finished her pudding. What is it, Dad? She asked again. Did I do something wrong? Or is my performance bad? No, sweetheart. Your work has been great. You're learning quickly. This is about something else. Yin furrowed her brows in confusion. It was rare for her father to talk seriously unless it was about the company or her studies. She straightened her posture and faced her father attentively. Mr. Park glanced at his wife and nodded. Your mom and I want to arrange a marriage for you, he said. Yin froze in shock, her eyes widening. An arranged marriage? Why do I have to be in an arranged marriage, Dad? I can find my own husband, she said, clearly displeased. She didn't like the idea at all. She already had someone in her heart. It's all for your own good, sweetheart. We want the best for you. We're certain about this man. He's responsible and will love you. Her mother tried to persuade Yin, noticing her daughter's pout. But Mom, I just graduated. I've only just started working at the company. Do I really have to get married so soon? Yin argued, trying to reject the idea. There's no problem with that, right? I'm sure your future husband will support you. We're close with his family, and we wouldn't choose just anyone for you, her father replied firmly. I still don't want to, Yin muttered stubbornly. In her dreams, she had always envisioned marrying Jungkook. Crossing her arms, she avoided looking at her parents. Are you sure, sweetheart? Because Jungkook has already agreed, her mother said nonchalantly, glancing at her sulking daughter. I still don't. Wait, what? Who did you say, Mom? Jungkook. Yin blinked, afraid she had misheard. Yes, we want to arrange your marriage with Jungkook. He has already agreed. But if you don't want to, we can cancel it, her mother said teasingly. I want to, Yin replied immediately. Silently, her parents exchanged satisfied smiles. They had already guessed that their daughter had feelings for the handsome and stoic young man. That was why they had suggested the match to Mr. Jian and his wife. Yin's parents would do anything to make her happy. Besides, Jungkook was a good man and met Mr. Park's criteria for his son-in-law. I want to, Dad, Yin repeated, her excitement clear. She couldn't believe her parents were arranging her marriage to Jungkook. When will we get married? She asked eagerly. Her parents chuckled. Be patient, sweetheart. You both still need to buy rings and get fitted for outfits. Leave the rest to us. You'll be married in a month. Yin cheered in delight and hugged both her parents in turn. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom. A few days later. Yes, Jungkook. What is it? Yin asked as she answered Jungkook's call. She was busy flipping through documents, her phone wedged between her shoulder and ear. I'll pick you up later, Jungkook said simply. Yin frowned slightly, her movements pausing. Pick me up? That's unusual. What's going on? She asked cheerfully. Today is our fitting for the outfits and rings. Did you forget? Yin slapped her forehead. How could she forget? She had been so excited about the fittings yesterday, but after a busy day filled with work and learning new tasks, she had foolishly forgotten this important moment. Grimacing, she replied, I almost forgot. I've been so busy today. On the other end, Jungkook nodded in understanding. He knew she must be swamped as a new employee. I'll pick you up at 4 p.m. Okay, Jungkook. See you later. Jungkook stared blankly at Yin, who had been indecisive about choosing a wedding dress for the past hour. She couldn't stop talking, commenting on nearly every gown in the prestigious boutique. As a woman faced with so many beautiful designs, it was no wonder Yin was overwhelmed. Jungkook, can I try all of them? Yin asked playfully. Jungkook sighed heavily, his expression deadpan. Pick your top 3. You only have time to try on 3 dresses. It's almost evening, and we still need to go to the ring shop. Yin smiled and nodded quickly, then began selecting 3 dresses that had caught her eye when they first entered. She needed to hurry before Jungkook's mood got worse. After a heated debate, because Jungkook refused to let Yin wear a dress that was too revealing while Yin insisted on it, Yin eventually gave in. Jungkook threatened to make their wedding a small, private ceremony with no grand decorations or guests if she dared to wear that dress. Of course, Yin wouldn't allow that. A wedding without lots of guests and beautiful decorations wouldn't be as fun. Luckily, choosing the rings went quickly. Perhaps Yin was already tired by then. Let's grab something to eat, Jungkook suggested. Yin smiled brightly and nodded. Since they had been engaged, Jungkook had become slightly warmer toward her. He no longer responded with short answers when Yin asked him questions, which made her happy. It felt like progress. Jungkook's car stopped in front of one of Yin's favorite restaurants. Her eyes sparkled with excitement. How did you know this was my favorite spot? I asked your mom earlier, Jungkook replied with a casual shrug. Let's go. With a cheerful bounce in her step, Yin followed Jungkook, silently celebrating. Jungkook cared enough to notice things about her. A month later, Yin and Jungkook got married. As per Yin's request, their wedding theme was outdoor. Yin looked stunning, and Jungkook was equally handsome. While Yin wore a wide smile throughout the event, Jungkook maintained his signature subtle smile. It wasn't that Jungkook wasn't happy, he just wasn't the type to smile as openly as Yin. Yin chuckled to herself, amused at how her husband had to force a smile for the duration of the ceremony. It must have been exhausting for him. After their wedding, Jungkook brought Yin to live in his penthouse he had prepared beforehand. The penthouse was on the top floor of one of his parents' hotels. Jungkook even hired a maid and a few bodyguards to ensure their safety. That first night, Jungkook and Yin sat on the balcony of their bedroom, sipping hot chocolate and nibbling on Yin's favorite cake. Before taking things to the next level, they wanted to spend time getting closer to each other, given that they hadn't been very close before. Of course, most of the conversation was dominated by Yin. The cheerful girl seemed to have boundless energy, even after a long day as a bride. Do you still want to work? Jungkook asked after a series of lighthearted topics. Do you want me to stop working? Instead of answering, Yin shot the question back. Jungkook gently stroked Yin's head, which was resting on his shoulder. Wrapped together in a blanket, neither wanted to move despite the cold air. They savored the comfort of the moment. I won't stop you from working. I'm just worried it might tire you out, Jungkook said, recalling how Yin had complained about feeling exhausted a few times. I don't mind if you don't work. I have more than enough money to support you, Jungkook added with a smug tone. Yin scowled playfully and pinched his waist lightly, making him chuckle softly before continuing. But if you want to keep working, I'll support you. Yin smiled warmly, her heart melting at how much attention Jungkook paid to her despite his seemingly cold demeanor. I still want to work. I want to gain new experiences. If I ever feel too exhausted, I'll stop. Besides, it's my dad's company, so I know he'll support whatever decision I make. Jungkook placed a soft kiss on Yin's forehead, appreciating her growing maturity. Do you feel closer to me now? Yin tilted her head, her clear eyes locking with Jungkook's why. If you feel close to me now, then I can finally touch you, right? Jungkook smirked, his expression becoming even more handsome. Yin burst into laughter and released her arms from around his waist. Oh my goodness, I've been fine with you touching me all along. We're married, Jungkook, and I love you. My body is yours, Yin said boldly. Jungkook chuckled, pulling Yin into a tight hug. His little wife was adorable and honest. He felt himself beginning to care deeply for her. In that case, I'm going to start now, and I won't stop even if you beg later. A shiver ran down Yin's spine. She could feel the heat in Jungkook's gaze. His hand, still under the blanket, gently gripped her waist and pulled her closer until their bodies were pressed together. Damn it, just that alone nearly made Yin let out a... Her thin nightgown made him softly, unable to resist. He kissed her lips with an urgency that left her breathless. His hands roamed freely. In one swift motion, Jungkook scooped Yin into his arms and carried her inside the bedroom. That night, Yin willingly gave something she had guarded all her life to him. It had been a month since Yin and Jungkook got married. During that time, Yin had been working hard to turn Jungkook's cold demeanor into warmth. Although Jungkook's attitude had significantly improved, he paid more attention to Yin than before. It still wasn't enough in Yin's eyes. That was why Yin became more talkative, aiming to establish consistent and meaningful communication with her husband. Although Jungkook occasionally found her overly enthusiastic behavior a bit much, he remained patient and appreciated her efforts. He understood that Yin's actions were her way of getting closer to him and keeping their marriage harmonious. They also found themselves making love nearly every night, which helped strengthen their bond. What are you doing? Jungkook asked, watching Yin busy herself packing rice, vegetables, and side dishes into a square lunchbox. They had just finished breakfast. Packing you lunch. Your mom mentioned you often skip lunch because you don't feel like leaving your office. Don't do that. You need to take care of your health, Yin replied without looking at him, her hands skillfully arranging the food to look appealing. You don't have to go through all this trouble, Yin. I can just ask Kai to buy me lunch, Jungkook said, referring to his personal assistant. Yin shook her head, giving him a sharp look. Don't eat out too often. Sometimes the food outside isn't hygienic. It's safer to bring a packed lunch like this. Besides, it's not troublesome for me. I'm happy to be useful to you, Yin said as usual, in her long-winded manner. Look, Yin showed him the two neatly packed lunch boxes she had prepared. One was blue, her favorite color, and the other gray, Jungkook's favorite color. I made two lunches, one for you and one for me. Fair, right? She asked with a bright, happy face. Unable to argue, Jungkook nodded. Thank you, Yin. Do you want a reward? A reward? Yin frowned, puzzled. Since you made me lunch, I'll give you a gift. Tell me, what do you want? A wide smile appeared on Yin's face. After thinking for a moment, she confidently replied, I want you to watch a movie with me this weekend, and I get to choose the movie. Her sweet smile turned into laughter as she saw Jungkook's face fall. Jungkook sighed heavily, realizing he had no choice. He didn't mind watching a movie, it was just that if Yin got to choose, it would definitely be a romantic film, the kind he found unbearably dull. But a promise was a promise, and Jungkook intended to keep it. One night, Jungkook returned home from the office with a frustrated expression. His workload had been overwhelming, and issues at his casino had only added to his stress. Jungkook needed to rest immediately. Oh, Jungkook, you're home? How was work today? Yin asked, as she usually did. Perhaps due to his exhaustion, Jungkook's response wasn't what Yin had hoped for. A lot of work. I just need to rest, he replied flatly, with little interest. Yin approached, standing beside Jungkook, who sat at the head of the bed. "Oh, really? Is there anything I can do to help? Maybe you need a drink? Something to eat? Anything at all?" she offered with concern. Jungkook sighed, looking at her with irritation. "No, Yin. I just need to rest." He hoped Yin would understand that he didn't want to be disturbed. His head was pounding, and the last thing he wanted was to listen to Yin's chatter, which could only worsen his headache. But it seemed his wife didn't understand, as she continued speaking. "Or maybe you'd like a massage. My mom says my massages are great. You should try it. I guarantee you'll be hooked." That was it. Jungkook's patience had run out. Without warning, he pulled a gun from under his pillow and pointed it at her neck. "Stop talking, or this bullet will tear through your throat, and you won't be able to talk anymore," Jungkook said in a low, cold, and sharp voice. Yin froze, shocked by his actions and words. "I told you I just want to rest. I don't need anything. Just be quiet and stop being so chatty. Your voice is making my headache worse," Jungkook added mercilessly. He noticed Yin's face turning pale, but his frustration outweighed his concern. Of course, he wasn't serious about shooting her. He could never do that. He was simply bluffing to make her stop talking and let him sleep in peace. Yin lowered her head, her body trembling. Slowly, she stepped back. It was the first time someone had ever pointed a gun at her, and it was her own husband who did it. Her heart ached. She felt disappointed. All her efforts to grow closer to him had only ended up bothering him. "I'm sorry," Yin whispered, the only words she could muster before walking around the bed and lying down beside him, her back turned to him. Jungkook exhaled quietly. Had he gone too far? The question lingered in his mind, but he shrugged it off indifferently. He lay down next to her, intent on getting the rest he desperately needed, oblivious to the fact that the woman beside him was silently crying. Since that night, Yin's demeanor has changed. Once talkative, she now grew silent. She still cared for Jungkook, preparing breakfast and packing his lunch, but her words were few. Even at night, Yin no longer cuddled Jungkook as she used to. She preferred to turn her back to him. Yin was hurt, angry, and offended by Jungkook's harsh words. On the other hand, Jungkook, who valued peace and quiet, seemed indifferent to her change. In fact, he was relieved that Yin wasn't pestering him anymore. Yin felt stressed by his obliviousness. She coped by indulging in ice cream daily. She could eat 3 to 4 servings in one day, a habit she had picked up in college. Back then, her parents would limit and control her, but now there was no one to stop her. 4 days into her ice cream binge, Yin's body gave out. She fell ill. Jungkook frowned as he noticed Yin's trembling form beside him. Her forehead was sweaty, her eyes shut, and her body shivered uncontrollably. He knew Yin was still upset. That's why she ignored him whenever he tried to talk to her. Jungkook reached out to touch her forehead. "You have a fever, Yin?" Jungkook asked, surprised. She had seemed fine that morning. Why was she suddenly so ill? Concern began to creep in. Jungkook pulled back the blanket covering her body. Her clothes were soaked with sweat. "Let me change your clothes, then we'll go to the hospital," he said, reaching to unbutton her pajama top. Weakly, Yin's hand stopped him. "Let the maid do it, and I don't want to go to the hospital." Hearing her refusal stung Jungkook's heart. She preferred the maid over him. Letting out a quiet sigh, Jungkook spoke softly. "All right, I'll call the maid later, but you still have to go to the hospital." "I'm not going to the hospital," Yin whispered stubbornly. "But Yin, you could get worse if you don't." "I said I'm not going." Yin wanted to shout, but her voice came out hoarse, accompanied by a sharp pain in her throat. Tears welled up in her eyes. Jungkook closed his eyes briefly, giving in to her stubbornness. "Fine, if you don't go, I'll call Dr. Lee to come here instead." That night, Jungkook contacted Dr. Lee and asked him to come over. He observed intently as Dr. Lee examined Yin. Her pajamas had already been changed to a lighter, thinner outfit to prevent her from feeling overheated. The usually rosy face he adored now appeared pale. Once Dr. Lee finished his examination, Jungkook approached him. "How is my wife, doctor?" Dr. Lee adjusted his glasses, which were about to slip down his nose. "Actually, Mrs. Yin just has a mild fever. However, her tonsils are swollen, which is causing difficulty in breathing and speaking. This usually occurs from consuming too much ice or spicy and oily foods. After my examination, it seems this swelling has occurred multiple times before, but it's now much worse." Jungkook listened attentively, visibly shocked by Yin's condition. "To prevent further recurrence and to ensure she can breathe properly, surgery is necessary." "I don't want surgery, doctor," Yin said hoarsely, her voice nearly gone. She had been listening to everything Dr. Lee said. Dr. Lee smiled kindly and looked at her. "But that's the only way for you to recover, Mrs. Yin. It seems your tonsils have been repeatedly swelling, haven't they?" Yin remained silent, unable to refute it. It was true. Her tonsils had swollen multiple times before, but never as severely as this. Still, she stubbornly refused, frustrating Jungkook to no end. After Dr. Lee left, a concerned and desperate Jungkook reluctantly called Yin's parents, asking them to come and persuade her. Jungkook was deeply worried, especially after hearing the doctor's warning that the swelling could obstruct Yin's breathing. Before long, her parents arrived, knowing full well how stubborn Yin could be when she was unwell. 45 minutes later. You must have eaten too much ice cream again, sweetheart? Her mother asked after arriving at Jungkook's penthouse. Are you stressed? What's been on your mind? Is work piling up at the office? Yin didn't answer. She only shook her head. Speaking was painful because of her sore throat. Meanwhile, Jungkook silently observed as Yin's parents tried to console her. Mrs. Park turned to her son-in-law. Yin has a habit of overeating ice cream when she's stressed. She's been like this since college. Her tonsils have swollen several times because of it. Usually, medication for a few days is enough to make her better, but this time it seems much worse than usual. Guilt washed over Jungkook like a tidal wave. Was this his fault? Was Yin stressed because of him? He lowered his head, clenching his fists tightly, and glanced at Yin, who still refused to look at him. You need to undergo the surgery, sweetheart, so you can fully recover, Mr. Park said gently, trying to persuade his daughter. I don't want to, Dad. Yin tried to speak, but her voice was barely audible, making everyone in the room feel sympathy for her. Mrs. Park gently stroked Yin's hair. As a mother, seeing her daughter like this broke her heart. It won't hurt, sweetheart. They'll give you anesthesia, and you won't feel a thing. Please, just agree to it, okay? After much persuasion from her parents, Yin finally agreed to the surgery. Jungkook wasted no time and took her to one of Seoul's top hospitals. Upon arrival, she was immediately examined by an ENT specialist, who confirmed that her swollen tonsils were severe and now an emergency case, as Yin was struggling to breathe. Since it was only a minor operation, Yin would only need to stay overnight in the hospital and could return home the next day if her condition remained stable. After undergoing emergency tonsillectomy surgery the previous night, Yin was placed in a VIP patient room this morning. Jungkook wanted his wife to rest comfortably. During her hospital stay, Jungkook never left her side. Eat something, okay? Jungkook said, picking up the porridge provided by the hospital. Since Yin's throat was still sore, she was only allowed to eat soft foods for the time being. Despite her aloof attitude, Yin complied, which brought a small smile to Jungkook's face. Bit by bit, he fed her the porridge. When half the bowl was gone, Yin pushed the plate away. Jungkook nodded in understanding and placed the plate back on the table. At least she had eaten half of it. Do you need anything? Want to watch TV, your phone, or something else? Jungkook asked. Yin gave him a bored look. Without answering, she turned her body away from him. Jungkook exhaled sharply. Seeing Yin like this made his guilt resurface. Since Yin woke up, she had been ignoring him completely. She wouldn't even look at him. Jungkook gave a bitter smile, missing the sparkle in Yin's beautiful eyes that used to gaze at him with so much warmth. After returning from the hospital, Yin continued to ignore Jungkook and refused to talk to him. Jungkook was left confused. Was Yin's silence because she was still angry with him, or was it because her throat was still hurting from the surgery? Jungkook grew restless. He couldn't sleep, consumed by thoughts of Yin's condition. He found himself longing for the Yin who used to chatter endlessly with him. 4 days after the surgery, Jungkook saw Yin in the kitchen talking to one of the maids. Her voice sounded drastically different, almost inaudible. A wave of anxiety washed over him. What if Yin couldn't fully regain her voice? That night, Jungkook decided to confront her and insisted she talk to him. Say something to me, Yin, Jungkook pleaded as they sat across from each other on the sofa in their bedroom. Yin glanced at him briefly, still upset and angry. I know you can speak now, even if your voice isn't like before. So please, just talk to me. When Yin remained silent, Jungkook let out a weary sigh. He reached out to hold her hand, but she quickly pulled it away. I'm sorry, baby, Jungkook said, his voice filled with frustration. I'm sorry for my words and actions that night, for making you upset and stressed to the point that it led to this. I realize I went too far. But I swear I never truly intended to shoot you. I could never do that to you. I was just exhausted and couldn't think straight, he said, pausing as his gaze fell on her, who was now glaring at him intensely. I regret it, Yin. Please, talk to me. I miss your voice. Yin let out a bitter chuckle. Didn't you say you didn't like it when I talked? She replied, her voice raspy and barely audible. Hearing it made Jungkook's heart ache, but he chose not to interrupt her. You preferred me to stay silent, and now your wish has come true. Shouldn't you be happy instead of regretting it? Her words were sharp, cutting through his guilt like a blade, even though her voice was barely there. Jungkook shut his eyes tightly, the weight of his guilt growing heavier. This wasn't what he had wanted. He never wished for his wife's voice to truly disappear. He never wanted any of this to happen. He didn't want their bedroom to feel this quiet. He didn't want their home to become a silent, empty space without her voice. He missed Yin's cheerful tone, the sound that brought warmth and life to their bedroom and their house. "I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry," Jungkook said, his voice trembling. His eyes reddened as he tried to hold back the tears threatening to fall. The same thing happened to Yin. Her eyes were red, but she tried to hold back her tears. "I really love you. I tried to get closer to you for the sake of our marriage, but your behavior hurts me. Is it because you're hoping this marriage ends?" Jungkook's eyes widened, and he shook his head firmly. He may be cold and indifferent, but he loves Yin as his wife. "No, Yin. Don't say that. I want to be with you until we grow old. Maybe my mistake was huge, but I want to fix it. Please give me a chance," Jungkook begged, tears finally streaming down his face. Yin, too, began to cry silently. She was tired of ignoring him, but she was also upset because he hadn't been giving her the attention a husband should give to his wife. Yin was jealous. Yin wanted to be like her mother, who was always treated with affection by her father. But it seemed like that hope would never come true if her husband was Jungkook. As if understanding what was going through his wife's mind, Jungkook smiled faintly and pulled Yin into his embrace. "I promise I'll try to be warmer with you. I'll try to be more attentive and show you my love. I know I'm cold, but I truly love you. You don't have to doubt that." Jungkook loosened his embrace and wiped away the tears that fell on Yin's cheek. "Give me a chance, please. I beg you. Don't ignore me anymore. You've been ignoring me for over a week, and now I truly miss the old you." Yin looked at him. Her husband was truly sincere in what he said. Slowly, she nodded, giving a faint smile, which made him feel relieved, and he hugged her again. "Thank you, baby." But just seconds later, Jungkook's face shifted from happiness to concern when he realized something. "Tomorrow, let's go to the ant doctor. I want to check your voice. I'm afraid it might really disappear." Yin snorted. "So now you like my noisy voice?" Yin teased. "Isn't it better this way? I won't disturb you with my loud voice, and I won't be so chatty anymore." Jungkook frowned, not liking the thought. "No, I prefer your loud voice over you being silent or speaking so quietly. I've had enough. I don't want you to ignore me anymore. My world feels empty when you're silent." Yin chuckled, her cheeks turning pink again. "Where did you learn to flirt? It really doesn't suit you," Yin teased, her voice barely audible, which only made Jungkook worry even more. He was annoyed because Yin seemed so casual about her current condition. "It's one of my ways to be warmer with you. I think I also need to learn to write poetry and flirt because you seem to like it," Jungkook said, making Yin unable to stop herself from silently laughing. "Promise you won't be cold with me anymore, and no more pointing a gun at me," Yin said, showing her pinky finger. Jungkook nodded and then linked his pinky with hers. Honestly, he thought this was childish, but to make his wife happy, he felt he had to indulge her. "I promise," he said, smiling. The next day, Jungkook took Yin to see an ant specialist. Conditions like Mrs. Yin's are common for patients after tonsil surgery. The nerves around that area need time to heal and return to normal. If the surgery went smoothly from the start, the patient's original voice will return, the doctor explained with a reassuring smile at Jungkook, who had been looking panicked and worried. The speed of recovery depends on each patient's condition. Some recover into weeks, a month, or even up to 3 months, the doctor added. Jungkook sighed in relief upon hearing the doctor's explanation. Yin was also advised to visit the doctor or the hospital again if she felt any discomfort or unusual sensations in her throat. And it was true what the ant specialist said. 1 month after Yin's surgery, her once loud voice slowly returned. Jungkook was overjoyed. He often asked Yin to tell him about her day, what she did while he was at the office, and whether she was tired or not. Yin teasingly poked fun at him, but he didn't mind. He simply missed her loud voice and her usual chatter. Since then, Jungkook has become more affectionate and romantic with Yin. Their marriage became more colorful. Both Yin and Jungkook were grateful they managed to overcome this issue. Now, they were ready to build an even stronger marriage than before.